Hey, good morning again. Ben here with Studio on the Lake. Spring is still not quite here. The trees are just starting to bud out. Hey, today we're going to switch topics and make a tool, a wooden awl. This is a little bit shorter. It's about 6 inches in length. And first thing we're going to need is a gouge, just a standard gouge. This is going to get turned and askew. It's going to get turned on a little Sherline lathe. I went ahead and filmed this with the bigger camera. The little GoPro didn't want to stay alive this morning for some reason. I notice everything is in focus with the exception of what's spinning. We're going to shape it out. The design fits into your hand. It looks a little small, but once you get it in your hand, I'll show you towards the end of the video how that thing is used. This is a piece of maple. There's a brass ferrule. Go ahead and measure that up. Get the inner diameter. I'll turn the wooden handle down so it's just a little bit proud on that. And then that'll be a press fit across the end of that. All told, I think the turning on this probably took about 10 minutes, sum total. A lot of this is speeded up a little bit and edited pretty heavy. Decided it needed a little button on the end there, so cut everything back away, relief that button. The tool rest I'm using is one I fabricated so that I can turn on the Sherline. I'm too cheap to buy the expensive accessory. Love this little Sherline lathe, but you pay dearly for the accessory pieces to it. So it's easier just to go ahead and purchase a lathe and then make the accessories as you need them. There's a rough shape. Time to switch over to a file. Got a couple needle files here. Get that tool rest out of the way. There's an older one that notice I've got, and that's a velour Swiss file, the nicer one, a little finer cut. You notice there's writing on my hands. I use my hands for notes. So if anybody can figure out what the writing is on the note and subscribe, I'll just go ahead and send this all to you. Good luck, because I can't even figure out what was on there. Slightly faded. Taking shape pretty nicely there. I like it. I think I can take the rest of the tool marks down on it with some sandpaper. These are those rolls of paper. It's actually for turners. It comes a pack of 4. There's a link for that and some other stuff down in the description. This one, I believe the grit on this one's 120. And then the last grit I'll use on that. I won't work my way up. I'll skip right from 120 to 600 at some point. Trying not to burn it. Last, a little bit of triple-aught steel wool. Makes everything smooth. Sometimes I'll go ahead and take a piece of wood and burnish this, but this is going to come out pretty nice just like it is. Pretty happy with the way that turned out. Put some Danish oil on it, just one application. Apply it quite liberally on a lower speed. And all told, this probably took about 5 minutes to. I went ahead and I turned it a little bit faster and burnish it down. It's completely dry in 5 minutes. Pull it out of the chuck. Take it over and gonna have to cut the handle off, but I like the looks of it. Looks pretty good. There, it's all cut apart. There's a brass tube for a ferrule, cut roughly. It's cut about 1/8 of an inch too long. It's not pressed on there. It's going to be a press fit. There's an interesting, I don't know, anvil that came from my father or grandfather or someone that they made years ago. And I guess that came out of I don't know, H gauge or O gauge railroad. It's not a full-sized anvil or railroad track. It's probably came out of a mining operation somewhere, the mine cart going down in there. I really don't know. As you can see, it's press fit on there. Rubber hammer, so I don't mess up what I did. This piece right here is hardened steel, and it is clock pivot wire. I've got a bunch of it from repairing clocks, and I like it. It comes in various different sizes. It's hardened. Don't have to mess around with that, and it lasts forever. Putting in an ER16 collet to hold that up and put the point on it. Getting a rough measurement, about that long, I think. If you've watched other videos, you'll notice that I don't spend a whole lot of time measuring, just kind of guess on it. Sometimes it turns out, sometimes it doesn't. Put that in the ER collet. Shape it to a needle point on there. I did go ahead and use a needle file in the middle to finish that point out. This thing is actually pretty shiny as it is, but I went ahead and put some Triple E on the leather there on a hone and polish it up, make it all pretty. There it is, pretty much done. Pull it out of the collet. It runs pretty true with those ER16 collets in there. A lot of the stuff I use for clock making. There it is, ready to go together. You can see that 1/8 of an inch. I went ahead and trimmed it back a little bit. I'm going to knock the burr off with the needle file and a little bit of sandpaper and polish the end up and get it ready to insert. The hole has been drilled all the way through. It's drilled just a little bit undersize for a press fit. It's that 5-minute epoxy. Mix it up. Get it down in there. I did actually use the awl, push it into the wood off camera there, and set that thing. It's set down in there about half the way, probably 2 inches deep into that thing. Got a good feel in the hand. It's got a good look. And it's a little bit smaller. The way I typically use these awls here, or the way you would use them, is the bulb goes into the back of your hand, and you would hang on to the front of the awl there, kind of like I'm holding it right there. It works real nice. And if someday you mess that tip up, you can go ahead and pull that out. But these are pretty simple to make and straightforward. So there you have it. There's the awl. Call this one complete. If you haven't subscribed yet, lower right hand corner, go ahead and subscribe to Studio on the Lake. There's several wood carving videos on there, and then tool making ones in there. As always, leave a comment, like if you like it, and by all means subscribe.